Welcome to the Speak with People podcast, where we believe that healthy communication is the key to unlocking your leadership potential. We are the go-to resource for leaders looking to greatly improve their communication skills. Whether it's one-on-one interactions, team settings, public speaking, or your digital communication. By improving these skills, leaders can create stronger connections and drive positive change within their organization. Each and every episode, we sit down with leaders from various fields, just like you're grabbing a cup of coffee with them. We dive into real, practical conversations. Our goal is to help you transform your communication skills so you can lead more effectively, build stronger relationships, and make a lasting impact. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's learn together. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever sent a text and immediately when you press send, you immediately had that lightning bolt of worry, of disgust, of bewilderment, and you just thought, did that come across the wrong way? Or worse, have you ever sent it and then you just waited for a respond and the bubble will pop up and nothing and the bubble will pop up and then days goes by and you're like, what do I do right now? What happened? Did I share too much? Well, welcome to the Speak with People podcast. We're launching into a brand new series called Texting with People. And this is the podcast, as you know, that helps leaders, empowers leaders to communicate with clarity and connection, no matter what the medium is. So today we're kicking off this brand new series and we want to ask some tough questions. And so the question we're going to ask on this absolutely first podcast is, are you an annoying texter? Wow. What about question number one? Are you an annoying texter? Texting is one of the fastest ways to communicate. It's also one of the easiest ways to miscommunicate. Your tone, intention, mood can all get lost and can actually get messed up between the lines. So in this episode, we're going to uncover how our emotional intelligence as a leader plays a critical role in texting. You'll learn how the mood of the recipient, we're going to talk about how to avoid some common texting pitfalls. And we're going to make sure that we ensure our words reflect the heart behind your leadership. Whoo! I can't wait. Whether you're leading a team, communicating with clients, or just texting a friend, I think these skills are going to help you as you text with more intention and less guesswork. All right, let's dive in. What are some of the biggest texting mistakes that leaders make? Whoa, man, if we had to start with me, it would be a lot of trouble because I make some big ones. First things first, what are the biggest mistakes that you make, that leaders make when texting their team, texting each other, texting friends? Here's the reality. Texting is fast, it's convenient, but it's also dangerously easy to misinterpret, right? One of the biggest mistakes that I see, and I have as well, leaders make is sending long, unclear texts that overwhelm the person they're sending it to. We might think, and I've thought it through, that we're being thorough, but if the person on the other end, if your team member has to decipher what you're trying to say, what you're trying to mean, and maybe they're taking it as some type of code, you're not doing anybody any favors. You're just not, right? You're just getting overwhelmed by it. What's another mistake? Oh, well, let's go to the flip end. The flip end is you're being too brief, right? Maybe you're way to the point. Maybe you're sounding cold or dismissive. Isn't it amazing that you can sound dismissive over a text message? Maybe your texting lacks tone. Maybe it lacks some emotional intelligence. And so what feels like a quick yes to you might come across as an irritation or an indifferent text to one of your team members or somebody close to you. And so here's a pro tip. If you're unsure how your text might sound, read it out loud. Okay. If it feels abrupt, add some warmth to it. Now, we got to just stop here for a second because you got to read the room, right? You got to read the room. And not every leader has the skills they need to read the room. Whew, didn't mean to step on any toes there. But there are some of us who have higher levels of emotional intelligence than others. There are some of us who have lower levels of emotional intelligence than others. And whatever level you're at with your emotional intelligence, you've got to read the room. Sorry, I'm looking at my Starbucks mug. I got the great state of Washington today. Got friends Austin and Ashley Bailey in Washington State, and my good friend Robert Kalin, who runs the Generous Influencers Network. He has a coffee shop. He has a great book called Generous Influencers. You got to check that out. Okay, there's your sidebar and your commercial. Leader, you've got to read the room with your texts. All right. How do you do that though? How do you read the room? Here's the trick. You got to pay attention to patterns. If someone usually responds quickly and suddenly and it starts taking longer, that's a cue. All right, that's a clue. Or if their responses shrink from full sentences to just two of the worst words ever, okay, or fine, something might be off. Oh my goodness. Can I just say this right on the outset? We're going to do 6 episodes in texting with people. 6 episodes, okay? If you are a texter that says fine, please learn right here from the get-go. Stop saying fine. Complete it, okay? Stop saying okay. Complete it. Texting isn't just about what's said, it's about the rhythm. It's about the energy of the exchange. And so if you start to feel tension, it's probably there. And so consider switching right away to a phone call if you're starting to get that tense. Sometimes hearing someone's voice can completely shift the mood. So you got to read the room. Okay. You got to bring the energy. You've got to decide what kind of texter are you going to be. Now, we're all different, right? We all have different makeups. We all have different leadership skills. Whether you're a strength finder or an Enneagram or a working genius or a Meyer-Briggs or whatever ones you do, we each have a different makeup. But the reality is you get to decide how you're going to text. Okay. Are you going to text uh, in a way that could be perceived as cold and short? Are you going to text in a way that could be perceived as warm and your connectability that will go through the roof? So these are things that we got to remember. We've got to dive into and we've got to know as we do this. So let's go back and talk a little bit more about emotional intelligence and texting. This is a big one. What role does it play? Let's dive into it. Emotional intelligence and texting is all about awareness and adaptability. Okay. Leaders with high emotional intelligence take a moment to ask, how might this text land? And then they adjust based on who they're texting. For example, texting a stressed out employee might require a little bit more empathy than texting a peer about a project update or texting a family member. Are you hungry? Do you want dinner? Yes, yes. Okay, it's a family member. But same way as a peer, coworker, boss, you've got to think through those things. The more you adjust your tone and timing, the better messages will be received. Now, one interesting thing I've learned from my 20-year-old son, who is Gen Z, and I'm 49 and I'm Gen X, I don't respond right away to texts. I just don't. I like to sit on it for a minute. I like to sit on it for a minute. I like to think through what I'm going to say. Now, if it's a real short one, okay. And then somewhere down the road, I'm like, oh, do I need to? Do I need to? Do I need to think this one through? Do I need to say more? Gen Z, on the other hand, they want an answer, right? They just want an answer. For me, I'm going to take a little bit more time in it. So, here's one of the things, especially. I mean, I asked the question right at the, right in the very beginning. Am I an annoying texter? Right? Do I come across cold? Maybe I don't even realize it. Maybe I'm coming across in a way that's just not, helpful. Here's the reality. You want to do everything you can to avoid cold or harsh feedback. If you work for a boss who chews you out over text, uh, I would take that as a sign to find a new job. Now, maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but last thing in the world, there is no amount of emotional intelligence in a leader who's going to chew someone out through a text message. Okay. It is easy. It is so easy to chew someone out through a text message, right? Like piece of cake. I can just type, push send, and I'm going to show them, right? This is why people who are like, "Yeah, words don't hurt you. Words don't matter." I'm just like, baloney. People have relationships ruined over bad text messages or incomplete text messages or cold or harsh text messages. And so let's be honest, giving feedback, giving, you know, you're upset at somebody, so you're yelling at them over text, that's really tricky. So how do you make sure your feedback doesn't come across as cold or harsh? Well, the key here is to soften the edges, right? Instead of jumping right straight to the issue, open with a positive note. For example, hey, I appreciate all the work you put into this project. Just one piece I want to tweak. Can we revisit that section, right? Better yet, okay, can I just say this? I know many of you listening do not like to get on the phone and talk or go talk to that person. You just want to deal with things over text message. And to a certain level, you absolutely can. Go and deal with, do it as much as you can over text message. My son and I, if you saw our text messages, this is a hoot, right? Like it's just, it's just, we're just always going because we got ideas, we're doing things, we're building speak with people, we got different video ideas. That's great. But the moment that it starts to get tense, this moment that it starts to get like, oh, wait a minute, there should be a radar going up. There should be a balloon. There should be a flag that says, go face to face. Absolutely go face to face. Nothing is better than face to face communication. So do not handle something over text. Don't break up with someone. Don't end your friendship. Don't tell somebody you need a break. Don't tell someone you just need some space. Come on, grow up a little bit. Get face to face and have those conversations. Now, I say that. Man, I'm not jumping into conflict either. I'm just telling you the healthy way is face to face. If that can't happen, get on the phone. There's something magical that happens when you hear their voice. Just like when you're face to face and you have to look each other in the eye. When you hear the voice, oh my goodness. I mean, it's just powerful. So when you start to get ghosted, when you find out you're the butt of jokes from other team members, when you find out your kids always your kids always make they may make fun of you anyways. They make fun of you how you text. These are some flags that you may be becoming an annoying texter, right? You just text memes left and left and left and left and left and not left and right, left and right. Now, texting memes is fine, but you've got to read the room again, right? So ask yourself some questions. Do your messages get left on read more often than not? Are your texts consistently met with one word responses? Do people forget to reply to you? Are you constantly getting messages like, oh, I thought I replied to that. I'm sorry. These are all signs that you may need, an adjustment. Now, we're going to talk about so much throughout this series. We're going to cover so many topics and so many different ideas, but you can actually build trust through text. You can. Uh, in the same way, like yesterday, I was meeting with a friend, maybe 2 days ago, maybe yesterday, I don't know when, and we're having a conversation. And at the very end of the conversation, I just felt moved to tell them just this word of encouragement that came to my mind. And I told them what I was jealous of them about. I told them what I thought that they excelled in. And it was a speak with people moment, right? You can have those same moments with a text with people moment. Your text can actually be meaningful. If you're the boss and you just have to get things done all the time, you're going to lose trust with people. Take some time to be encouraging over your text. If you're just short with your spouse all the time, take some time once a day, fill their encouragement bucket and send something encouraging to them. Send something encouraging. Be transparent, be clear, be personable. If something comes to your mind, send that text right away. Do everything you can. Now, here's a bigger question. Can you convey empathy in your texts? Absolutely. Sometimes texting can feel robotic, but you can convey empathy. Now, listen, I know for me as a leader, I understand how I'm wired. I am more of a feeler, okay? I am more of a feeler. So when I get a text from somebody that I haven't had a text from forever, I would like some array of civility. Hey, it's been a while. Boy, it's been too long. Jason, I'm sorry, it's the first time reaching out in a while. I have a question for you. Like, have some civility. Don't just jump into it. Now, if the person that you're texting, uh, is more of a analytical communication style, then okay. But try to, as much as you can, convey warmth through the screen. You will be able to build trust when you build warmth through the screen. It's just amazing what will happen, and powerful things will begin to happen because people will want to respond to you. And here's the reality: we live in a world where sometimes communication often feels distant, it's transactional. Texting can actually build bridges or it can burn them, right? And so, this series, we're going to dive into, 6 different areas where we can grow in this. And if you want to be the kind of leader who has people that responds to your text, that doesn't want to ignore your text, but actually wants to respond, wants to do it, we're going to go through a bunch of these strategies. And so, uh, convey empathy. Maybe it's using an emoji. I know that may sound silly for some of you, but maybe it's an emoji. Maybe it's a fun GIF or GIF or whatever you call it. I think one of the things I do through text message that gets the most feedback is when it's someone's birthday and I know them, I film a video. Happy birthday. It's so good to, I wish I was with you. I wish we were having a birthday. And I sent them that video. People love that. It's amazing. How else can you convey empathy? Use words like, I understand and I appreciate that. I'm here to help. Uh, you don't got to go to super formal language over text messages. Now, what if you don't understand something? It is really easy to like be considered to come across as passive aggressive over your text messages. So, how do you ask for clarity without sounding passive aggressive? Instead of saying, what did you mean by that? Try, hey, I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. Can you elaborate on that? See the difference? What did you mean by that? What do you mean? Or, I want to make sure I'm understanding. Can you elaborate on that? It's like when we teach in our training seminars, ask open ended questions. Tell me more about that. Use the TED acronym. T is tell me more. E, explain what you mean. D, could you define that for me? Now, here's a big issue. Is there a difference between texting colleagues and texting direct reports? Like, how do you establish is the difference there? Well, the tone shifts depending on who you're texting. And especially if you start brand new for a company, you want to keep your tone high above board. So, uh, don't text anything that could be screenshot and shared and then be used to embarrass you, be used to get you fired, be used to hurt somebody else. Like, do everything you possibly can to be as professional as you can with your colleagues and your direct reports. We're going to get a little more casual as you get to know them, all of that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, I've seen people's lives destroyed by it. Do not text stuff. I see this all the time. People are just texting people off, calling them an a-hole, all this kind of stuff. Do not do that. Do not do that. Okay, before we finish episode 1 here in the series, let's go over a couple best practices as a leader. Keep it clear, keep it concise, right? KISS, keep it simple. Stupid. I don't like the end there, but keep it clear. Add some warmth. Avoid one word blunt responses. Pause before hitting send, right? Pause. If you got angry and you're shooting off a nasty text, your texts reflect your leadership. So make sure they inspire your connection. Make sure they inspire your connection. Do absolutely everything you can. And if you will, I guarantee you, you will not be in the annoying category, because the annoying category is just a rough place to be in. And you don't want to be there. You want to be in the type of category that shows people that you love them. So, episode 1. I can't wait for next week. The next episode, we are interviewing an amazing networker connector. We're going to talk about how you can use your text to network. But before I leave you, I just decided in 2025, I want to talk more about what I'm passionate about. And one of those organizations is compassion.com. Now, listen, I'm not a paid sponsor. They're not a paid sponsor for this show. Actually, I would love for them to be someday, but the Speak with People podcast is just does not have a large enough reach for them. And I thought about this and I thought, you know what? Regardless of that, I'm still going to tell the world or tell my listening world about them. If you've never heard of Compassion, go to compassion.com. This organization, you can partner with them and you can help end child poverty. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. Can you imagine being a part of ending child poverty? My family and I, we have sponsored 3, sometimes 4 children. It's like $39 a month. And you free them from poverty. They get meals, they go to a school, they get an education, they get medical necessities. This is what's happened. And I know this is legit because my daughter and I actually went to Ecuador and we saw the kids running out of their homes with the letters from their sponsors. This is powerful. Friends, I'm going to talk about compassion a lot on the Speak of People podcast. If you've not signed up for the speakers group, head to the Facebook group and be a part of it. And there is still room in the speakers community. We'd love to have you a part. You can access all of the past stuff, all the videos, all the training calls are recorded so you can get everything. I hope that you will text with people and not at them because you really will make a difference in this world. We'll see you in the next episode as we tackle how to text with people. Thank you for listening to the Speak with People podcast, where we believe that healthy communication is the key to unlocking your leadership potential. Thank you for leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And thank you for every like and every comment. Every single time you cut and copy a link and send it to a coworker or a friend, it absolutely means the world and it helps each other transform our communication skills. Lastly, don't forget about a great resource that's available to you, our communication skills library. At the end of every episode, we ask each guest their favorite speaker, their favorite podcast, their favorite book, and we've compiled all of those resources together to give you an amazing library to continue your growth and development. Thank you again for being a listener and for being a part of the Speak with People community.